my best advice would be to just be really open, be willing to learn everything and try all sorts of things, because you really don't know where your passion will lie until you've experienced something new. I think the best and worst advice I ever got was in high school, and I had a guidance counselor. I wasn't great in school, I'll just be honest. I didn't get great grades. And my guidance counselor said, with a very Texas accent, Amy, college isn't for everyone. And I was so taken aback. I was like, well, but I want to go to college. And I think it was the best thing that somebody could say, but it was also the worst, but it was also the best thing that somebody could say to me, because it gave me such empowerment to go forward and then graduate from college and send her a graduation invitation. And granted, it took me 5 years, but still. And that always plays back in my mind to remind me that, you know what? It doesn't matter who says you can't do it. You can. You can figure out a way to get it done, to make it happen, and kind of keep moving forward. And I think when you're in the beginnings of your career and you're trying to make it and figure out what I want to do, how do I want to do this, you have to remind yourself to just learn as much as you can and just keep moving. Absolutely writing. And writing in all different forms and genres. I went from being a TV broadcast writer to a print writer. The writing is totally different. It is like night and day kind of different. Writing for web is different. But if you have the basics and the foundation of writing fundamentals in terms of writing good essays, writing good copy, captions for social media, you will go far, because you can kind of switch back and forth into what you need to do, but you have to have that foundation of writing. And then I think the other really, really valuable skill is interviewing. And it's not necessarily like the formal interviewing, but just being inquisitive and asking a lot of questions in any situation. It lends itself in 1,000 different ways. And sometimes it's just asking a question just to learn a little bit more, and it leads to another question, and all of a sudden your story is totally different. But it's, a lot of times you go to a story with kind of an idea in mind, like, I know what I'm going to tell, how I'm going to tell this story, what I need to get. And if you're asking the right questions, a lot of times the story changes, because you realize, wow, this isn't really what it's about at all. So asking a lot of really good questions, really honing your interviewing skills. And sometimes that means watching really, really good interviewers. So some of the journalists that just do a really incredible job. I mean, Barbara Walters back in the day, but Gail, why am I all of a sudden blanking on her name? Oprah's best friend. Gail King, thank you. Whew, lost it for a second. Gail King is a fantastic interviewer, and I will be honest that I didn't love her at first because she didn't go through the ranks, as it were. She kind of got her job because she was really Oprah's sidekick. And it bothered me in the beginning, because it was like, I had to go through, being in market 300 almost. So I wanted everyone to have to do that. But sometimes you just see somebody's skills, and she is really good. I mean, I think R. Kelly interview is like the perfect example, but not only did she hold her own, she pulled out emotion, and that is a really strong interviewer. So watching people like that and recognizing how they frame questions and how they get somebody to respond is really helpful. So writing and interviewing are two really big things. I left for a number of reasons. One of them mainly because I have twin boys. They're 18 now, almost 19, crazy. And they were really little, and I was really missing a lot of their life. When you are a TV reporter, you are on 24/7. And your schedule, nobody really cares that you're a mom. You're gonna be working crazy hours and holidays, and my husband and I were both in TV. So Christmas was not always on Christmas. And Thanksgiving was sometimes not on a Thursday. And we definitely wanted to get away from that. And there was another part of it that you can get pretty jaded being in that environment all the time. And I truly love my experience in journalism, I really did. But I would be lying if I said it was perfect. It was a difficult journey, and I promised myself that if I ever got to be kind of negative, if I got to be jaded, if I got to be like some of the other anchors that I saw, that I would just get out, and I did. I had to hold up my end of the bargain because I started to feel myself going in a direction that I wasn't happy with, and I did try to kind of dabble in freelance a little bit, and ultimately I stuck with PR. And it's funny because we always say, like, when you're in TV and stuff, like, oh, I will never go into PR unless I have to. Like, it was always kind of a back end, like, I never really want to do it. It's like your last ditch resort kind of thing. And I think we all kind of thought it would be so easy to just be a PR person. And then fast forward, I get into PR, and it's really hard. It's a really difficult role. And you have to be so many things for so many people, and you have to know so much. But there are so many parallels. So as a reporter, I had to learn a little bit about a lot of things. I had to be kind of a mini expert all the time. And it's very much the same in PR. You really have to, every client, especially for us in an agency where we have clients that really range and vary, you really have to learn a lot about a lot of different things. And you have to be able to kind of change on a dime. And that is something that 100% being a journalist prepared me for this world. And really what I loved most about being in TV and just in journalism in general was the storytelling. And I still get to do that. I just do it in a different way. Everything that we do is storytelling. It's just unique. It's not on the news at 5 o'clock always. I mean, sometimes it is. If we're doing our jobs right, it is. But we just aren't the ones on the front end telling the story. But it's really, really empowering to craft messaging and work really hard on crafting these statements and phrasings, and then to see that particular messaging picked up, and somebody reports and they are using your words that you crafted coming out of somebody else's mouth, but you know that you spent time making sure that those were the right words to use. You gave them to your client to make sure that they were prepared. They used them, and then they were on the news. Like, it's great. So there's a lot of intersections between journalism and PR. Multitasking is, it really is like the foundation of what we do, because we're always doing a lot at once. But really, it isn't an easy job, because you're in so many places at so many times. And, you know, especially in my role, I'm the digital media director, so I'm overseeing social media, but also there's that PR lens, so making sure that I'm staying on top of that. And then just serving clients well, and then also being a manager, so making sure that my team is not just doing the work, but that they're well supported, that they're getting everything that they need to do good work. So there are a lot of pieces, and how do I keep it all together? I mean, I'm not great at it. I will be super honest, I'm terrible with time management. It's something that I continually work on to this day. But we are really fortunate to have a lot of tools at our disposal. So we use things like Monday.com. In the past, we've used Asana. That helps a lot with tracking tasks. And really the biggest thing is just having a solid team, and being able to rely on a really good, solid team to make sure that we're able to delegate responsibilities and have other people keeping an eye on projects and working on other aspects, and delegating. It's something that you have to learn. It's not always the easiest thing, but being able to hand something to someone else and trust that they can make it happen will make it easier for the whole project to get done. And in the end, we're representing our clients really well by making sure that we're not just multitasking and that we're laying our tasks really thin. We're multitasking and that we're getting a lot done, but we're doing it with excellence. So storytelling is like, it's everything really in PR. I mean, it really starts with who you are, and we start that process with research and determining how do we best tell this story? Because no client is the same. There's no cookie cutter way to approach a project. Every single one of them is a little bit different. And so starting with research and determining what their brand really looks like, sounds like, tone, voice, all of those sorts of things will help us determine the best way to tell that story. In today's universe, just about all of it has at least a big digital element, if not completely digital. But it's, determining like how digital will it be? Are there going to be really in-person kinds of things that we can do? Is it all grassroots? Are we going to be in people's faces? How do we really connect their message and their story with their community? So yeah, I think it all comes down to first learning who they are so that we can best determine how to tell their story. A lesson that I learned is absolutely, I don't even know the best way to put it, but to really allow yourself to be the expert in your field, and to have confidence and authority in your actions.